This is a Film Stories original podcast.
We made this.
Welcome back to the X-Cast. The truth is in here. I'm your host for this episode, Sarah Blair, and I've got two more of our regular hosts joining me today. It's a host bonanza. Let's say hi to Cortlan and Annie. Hey, y'all. Cortlan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. What's today? Tuesday? It's been a great morning so far. The sun's out.
Excellent. Annie, how are you?
I'm good. Enjoying summer. Went outside for a little bit, a walk at the beach this morning, and then came home for this. So yeah, I can't imagine anything better to do than go to the beach and then talk about the X-Files. Right?
With coffee even. I have coffee, so this is perfect.
I have coffee.
I do not have coffee. I have green juice. But yeah, I heard you both had a big adventure recently, and that's actually why we're here to talk about this. So you both had the opportunity recently to go visit the X-Files Preservation Collection Fan Fest event in Saratoga Springs, New York. So that's actually why we're here, and I wanted to hear all about it. And I know a lot of other fans who maybe didn't get the chance to go want to hear about it too. So should we dive in and chat about all your experiences?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's kick this off by talking about your initial impressions of the museum, because I think this was the first time for the museum for both of you. Is that right? Annie, do you want to start us off?
The museum itself was fairly small, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You can see everything and you take your time. It's small, but it's so packed with stuff, like really cool memorabilia, things that were used off screen. Things that were used on screen, things that were just for production. Chris Carter's laptop. It just had so many cool aspects of the show in one small setting that it made it very easy to see everything and also enjoy the stuff down at the Civic Center all in one day, because I was only able to go for a day. And it was amazing. I guess I don't want to say my one complaint, but the one thing that I was expecting was more stuff from the original series, which I understand was about 30 years ago. And so things have been lost over the years. They were given out, they were auctioned, they were whatever. So it was a lot of things from the revival, which is not necessarily bad. I just was expecting more of the original run stuff. But it was cool. They had X-Files just playing on a loop. There was not a lot, but there was definitely a merch section, and they had, I'm going to show you right now. I had this when I was a kid, probably 10, 11 years old, this little keychain. I don't know if it still lights up, but we bought it. I'm debating whether I should open it and use it and see if it lights up or just keep it in the package.
Amazing.
But so they had, all the old books, the DVDs, they had signed things by, I think, Robert Patrick, Mitch Pileggi, probably David and Gillian, Nikole. And yeah, so there was a lot to see in such a small space. I don't know if you had a similar impression, Cortlan.
Yeah, I really did. I totally agree with all of that. And just as a side note, I'm a big proponent of opening the things.
Yeah. Also, because this is
thank you.
This is a podcast, just in case anyone listening. It's the light up keychain. It's kind of like a little square. And it has the X-Files logo on it where it lights up, and I totally remember having that, and I don't know what happened to it. I would
you
love
had it
to
too.
have that again.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
I'm sure my green light stopped working, and I threw it. I was like, all right, that's it. Throw it away.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Things just get lost in the junk drawer, and you see them, and you think you're gonna have them forever, and then you just don't.
Yeah.
But that's really cool.
I say open it up. breaking out.
I'm still debating.
I know. I get it. I totally. Yeah. So yeah, I think I agree with Annie's kind of description of the museum. It is fairly small. It's a small space, but I really think that lends itself to the things that they have, because a lot of the things in the museum there are some really big pieces, like the fake corpses and pieces like that. But there are also so many really small pieces of the show in there. We were kind of joking, like, kind of what you have to do is go around the room and like adjust your eye level every time. So you like make your way all the way through once at eye level, and then once looking down, and then once like looking up, because there's so much stuff just everywhere, like floor to ceiling.
It's like floor to ceiling. Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing. So you can easily sort of like make the rounds in the museum and see totally different things each time you go through, which is pretty cool. And I know just from talking with Jim while we were there on Friday, that even that much stuff that they have crammed in there, they have probably easily that much stuff again that just isn't on display yet. So I think that there are, I don't want to speak for Jim and Kelly, but I think eventually there will be opportunities to see even more things.
So would it be kind of they would rotate things out? Is that what they were saying?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We were talking about the possibility of expansion in the future because they have so many things to display. And I think eventually they would love to expand. But, obviously they have the space they have. So, yeah, maybe rotating things through, or just as they catalog and like get through things, sort of rearranging in the space. We'll see. Lots of potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you all have any specific favorite things that you noticed or got to see while you were there? Cortlan?
Yeah. Okay, that's okay, because I know exactly what my favorite thing is. There are boxes and boxes of storyboard cards, like the index cards. I mean, just like hundreds of them. And they're in a display case, like, because obviously I'm a person that would be like going through them. I would be like definitely pawing through them. So they wisely put those behind glass so that I could not sort through all the storyboard cards. But I think those are my favorite. They'll probably always be my favorite. I can envision a future where they have some up like on cork boards, as if they were in the writer's room. And they're just really cool. I really love them. I could look at them for a long time.
Right? How incredible that somebody had the forethought to save all those,
and there are a lot of them.
That's
really
incredible.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's just amazing to me. Yeah. I'm so glad that they still have those. Annie, how about you? Did you have anything that stood out? No?
I'm looking through all my pictures. I'm like, oh, I really like that. Oh, I really like that. Oh, that was really cool too.
There's so much.
Yeah, I think, there's so many.
You don't have to pick one favorite.
Okay.
You can pick a couple.
So
it's okay. We have time.
Well, there's this picture of David Duchovny's butt from the movie that was never used. That was really funny from Fight the Future. There's, show us your bobbers. I took that because I was thinking of you.
Yeah.
Dana Scully's personal massager, which is hilarious.
Nice.
And then I would say this corpse from the pilots.
Yes, that was the other
cool.
thing I was going to say, for sure.
That was very cool.
How big is that in real life? Like,
big.
Relatively, is it really big?
Like, well,
3 feet, 3.5 feet.
Yeah, 3.5 probably.
Yeah.
It's on a table. Like, it takes up a
Screen
table.
used.
That's so cool. That's amazing.
It was really neat.
They have this Quagmire head.
Yes.
Which is really cool. Production used, not screen.
I love the pinball machine is in there. It's pretty cool.
That was so cool. Bummed you couldn't play it, but yeah.
Yeah. I was imagining like the line of people that would be like lined up to play that pinball machine all day.
That's true.
It would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
I wonder if it works. Do we know?
I think it does work. I'm sure they just were like, nope, danger.
Yeah.
Too many people.
Sarah, you've been to this before, right?
I haven't been to the museum itself, but I saw the collection when they brought it to X Fest.
Okay.
And so I have an idea of what it's like. It was just, I got to see one room of things.
Okay.
But I did get to where, I did get to
That's
where the
right,
Fokker
you
sat,
did.
which was worth everything. Okay. Yeah. That was amazing. So yeah, and when they brought it to X Fest, they had the screen playing the X-Files on loop, and the whole. So I would imagine that this is similar to that, only scaled up. And Cortlan, you were there, so like
Yeah. It is kind of similar, like the way they had that room set up at X Fest 2 is pretty similar. It's just more stuff. There's just more. There's a lot more. And in the museum, like we were kind of saying, like it's hard to describe it. Like every wall is like a fully packed gallery wall of like pictures and stuff, like Polaroids, and I mean it's fully packed. Every wall in that space that is not covered by a display like case is covered by images and other things that they've got hanging up.
That's
like
phenomenal.
A lot of stuff.
Did anything jump out and surprise you that you were not expecting to be able to see?
For me personally, it was some of the floppy disks that they had. I was like, really? Someone kept these floppy because at a certain point you're like, these are not, I mean, it's old technology. Why would you need to keep them? That was kind of surprising. I do have a picture of the floppy disk.
And the laptop, right? That's amazing. Yeah.
The laptop, yeah. That makes more sense to me. But the floppies, like, who's using that? The Truth. I guess these are from The Truth. 1 and 2. Nothing important happened today.
That's amazing that it was still on floppies, too, at that point. We did have CD-ROMs by then.
We did. So that was mine. That was the most surprising thing for me. Even though it's not maybe the most eye-catching or, it's not screen used, but that someone had thought to keep these, like, why? Who's ever going to use these again? Well, now it's in a museum, and that's pretty cool.
I was surprised how many pieces of, like, furniture. There are pieces from, like, Mulder's office, from the set of Mulder's office. There are, like, cabinets and, like, chairs and stuff that were straight out of the office. I was surprised to find those things there, like as part of the display. That was fun. Unexpected, I think.
Yeah, because usually when they strike a set, that's it, and they just like haul everything off to a warehouse. And
or it goes to get used, somewhere else, like,
right,
in some other thing. So I was surprised to see those kinds of pieces.
I wonder if some of them were auctioned off and somehow Jim got his hands on them through the years. For sure.
Or maybe somebody like absconded with it.
I don't know. Some of them are pretty big. It's like a whole like filing cabinet. They're like stuck it in their pocket. Yeah.
Just like the last day of the X-Files and they're just like rolling a chair out to their car. See you later, guy.
Yeah, I'm just taking this with me. Like, I don't know.
Is there anything that you might be hoping to see in the future that you didn't get to see?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I can't think of anything specific, like specific props or anything like that. I think in the future, I would love to see, like now when you go in the museum, things are pretty much mixed together. You're kind of wandering and just at random happening across pieces. I would love to see like maybe some kind of progression or like, early seasons or like revivals, have it be a little bit more of like an experience like as you progress through pieces. Or I think that would make it maybe easier to take it all in because there is so much, maybe not like the photos and things like that. There's so many of those. I don't know how they could possibly do that, but especially the prop pieces, I would love to see more of an intentional way of putting them together, I guess.
That's a really good response, actually. Yeah.
I do my best.
And you're right, because everything is kind of mixed and you're like, oh, this is, I guess there is a section where it's like the pilot and right next to that is, or like this corpse from the pilot. And then you have the laptop and but like, a progression would be nice to see.
Like if you were looking for something specific, it would be really difficult to find it unless Jim or Kelly was there to tell you like it's over here.
Right. I think with the set pieces that they have, if they're able to get more, it'd be great to see a reproduction. Obviously, if they get a bigger space as well, a reproduction of Mulder's office. That would be super cool. But I know that's a lot to ask for, both in terms of space and acquiring all the pieces. I just don't know if you'd be able to do that, but that would be cool. Like, I'm sitting in Mulder's office. How cool would that be?
Right. Honestly, even if they fudged it and were like, these filing cabinets are from the stage and these are just ones that we found that look close, I wouldn't mind. I would be like, that's fine.
Yeah. Same. A desk that approximates his desk.
Right.
A similar lamp.
Right. But then, like, some of the pieces obviously would be the ones they already have. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Mix and match is fine with me.
Right. Make it more about the experience than the actual. Yeah. I can understand that. So I'm guessing it's safe to say you all would want to revisit.
I would definitely go back, especially if they had kind of a rotating display of stuff. But I'm also kind of close. It's 3 hours away. I understand that it could be hard for people to get out there. Saratoga Springs is not super duper close to stuff. But yeah, it's really cool. And then you get to meet people who are interested in the same thing as you. So I would definitely go back. But also I can say that Saratoga Springs is such a cute little town that also factors into my wanting to go back. Like, yeah, I'd go there for the weekend. Yeah, let's go there for the weekend. Let's stay at a cute little hotel, whatever. We'll go to Saratoga. I'm sorry, we'll go to the Preservation Society. And then it's also close to Lake George, which is where the Star Trek Museum is. You can hit that up. So you can make a whole weekend out of it, and it would be amazing.
Yeah.
If you're into all the stuff that I just said. Nerdy things.
I completely agree. I think I specifically picked this event to visit the museum because I knew that probably the only way I would go to Saratoga Springs is if it was for something like this, because it is not easy for me to get to from Louisville.
Yeah.
But I was so pleasantly surprised, maybe a little blown away by Saratoga Springs. I would not hesitate at all to go back. And for people who are on the fence about getting there, it's worth it. You're going to enjoy it for the weekend. I had such a great time in that little downtown area of Saratoga Springs. It was really great. We had amazing food. There were lots of things to do and see, plenty of places to walk to, in addition to and the museum was really a quick 10 minutes drive up the road. So it was great. I would definitely go again, for sure.
Awesome. That's great to know. It sounds like a good little family town. If you want to take, see the sights, maybe go in the fall or the autumn.
I'm sure it's gorgeous during that time of year.
It was really pretty. We walked through the park. I can't remember what the name of the park is, but there was a park right there. Yeah, all the things. It was great.
The little carousel
inside. We missed the carousel by 20 minutes. They were closed. No. I know, we were sad. But
when
we did see
walked
it,
by,
though.
it was also closed.
Yeah, but we did see it.
Let's talk a little bit about the actual event. I know you guys have been to other cons before, and how did this kind of compare? I'm sure it was a little bit smaller on the smaller scale, but Cortlan, what were some of the similarities and differences between some of the other cons that you've been to?
Yeah, I mean, it was a small event. I was expecting that. And to me, it felt really similar. I think anybody who went to the second X Fest, or honestly, even the first X Fest, with a small crowd that is in a pretty contained sort of space, it was really nice. Lots of time to chat. No one, I think, felt super rushed in any of the interactions with the cast or crew. There were definitely some. I don't want to say there were no lines or anything like that. There were definitely lines. But we had really good experiences getting through all the things, that we had on our list. So, yeah, I think it did have a really small con sort of vibe to it. But I like that. So that's what I was looking for. What else? Awesome. Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I've been to many cons, big and small. I've done New York Comic Con, and I've done local ones here in Connecticut. And this was by far the most intimate. And there are pros and cons to that. Yeah. It was great. You got to see everyone. And they were all in this one room. And you're like, oh, there's Annabeth Gish. There's Brian Thompson. There's blah, blah, they were all there. And you could just kind of look around, and it was very manageable. Some of the lines got a little long, but I don't think that was too crazy, except for William B. Davis, who, because of some flight issues, couldn't get in on time. And so his line was particularly long, just because he came in late on Saturday. And probably like around 1, I want to say, but I don't know that it's the exact time. It's like Cortlan was saying, you got a lot of one-on-one time when you actually went up for either an autograph or a picture. Everyone was really approachable. And I will say I've never been to such a specific con. It's always been a con in a broader sense, comic book, whatever. This one was extremely specific, and that was cool. But I was saying that the lines weren't that bad except for JJ Lendl.
JJ's line was
Holy
so long.
Cow, almost out the door. And that's because he was the only vendor there.
Yeah.
They had a cryptozoologist that you could talk to, which was cool. They had someone, I don't know what he was. He was from like a pancreatic cancer association, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Fundraising, okay.
It was a fundraising thing.
I didn't talk to him. I'm sorry. But JJ Lendl's line was almost out the door until late afternoon.
Yeah.
Where like I didn't even try to go up and talk to him. And when I did, I was like, "Are you okay? Do you need water? Have you had anything to eat yet?" And he hadn't. He hadn't eaten. And it must have been like 4 o'clock at this point. I'm like, "You poor man." So it would have been nice to see some more vendors, even if they took stuff from their own museum and brought it over.
Yeah.
I feel like that could have broken up the line a little bit for him. But overall, super cool to be at such a specific con and meeting people who are interested in the exact thing that you've been obsessed with for so long. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. I think, the thing about the lines, and like especially, I think, like JJ's line and William B. Davis's line that were so long. Even I think Brian Thompson's line was pretty long for most of the morning.
It was.
I think part of that was really magnified because we were all in that one space, that one room. Like,
right.
The
room was very intimate. Yeah.
Yes. So I think that didn't help.
I agree. That's a great point.
Yeah. And poor JJ, when the first, I don't know, the first hour, I think that we walked in there, I kind of like snuck up like on the end and I was like, do you maybe want some help? Like, do you want someone else to like?
Aw, that's so nice of you.
Yeah, I think that was an unanticipated situation on everyone's part. Like, how many people were going to be at JJ's table all day? Poor JJ.
And also great for JJ.
I'm so glad for JJ.
Happy for him.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, get it, man.
Yeah.
It's good for you.
Absolutely. So the event occurred over 2 days. Cortlan, you got to do some of the special events on Friday. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we went up on Friday morning so that we could do the museum experiences, I think that's what they were called, with Karen Konabal and Annabeth Gish. So that Friday afternoon, they had it broken into blocks of time, starting at noon, and then I think Annabeth's ended at like 8 or something like that. And in 2-hour blocks, they just admitted people with experience tickets. So you would go in and sort of get your number from the counter and then just wander the museum. Karen Konabal, if anyone was doubting her awesomeness, started her experience by giving this really beautiful, like 2 or 3 minute speech about fandom and fandom experiences and like coming together and the things that you can do as like a group. It was really beautiful. There is a recording. It's in the X-Files Museum's Facebook page. So everyone, if you're looking to hear Karen be amazing, go listen to her little speech that she gave. But basically how it worked is Karen and Annabeth, or whoever the person, I think Christopher Logan had one. I think William B. Davis was supposed to, but maybe didn't make it in time to do that. They had like a table in one corner of the museum. And so, the person would be at their table signing and taking pictures, and they would just sort of call like 3 numbers at a time. So I think like I was number 8 or whatever. So they would call like 7, 8, and 9, and you would just go up So you didn't have to wait in like a line in the museum. You could just explore the museum until your number got called. And it was really great. Like, it was the perfect amount of people. I think I'm really glad that I got to see the museum that way. Because, you know, you go in, I think there would be like a maximum probably of 25 people in the space. So it was really great. You got a lot of conversational time with the person, like in my case with Karen and with Annabeth. And so, yeah, it was really nice. And obviously they had, you know, props that are specific to that character. So Karen got to talk about I think the home teeth and, you know, Chucky and Judy a lot. And then Annabeth had like a literal like bust, like mannequin bust, like of Monica Reyes' like jacket. And yeah, it was really fun just to see it that way and to have such a, quiet experience in the museum. It wasn't super crowded and everyone, you know, was really cool, just kind of wandering around. I highly recommend it. I think if they do that again, do it. It was great. It was a great way to see the space.
Awesome. Didn't she say that she had the teeth, but she wasn't totally sure where they were?
Yeah. There, she was just kind of, you know, there were so many. There was a whole case full of teeth, like mouthpieces. Just almost like right when you walk in, there's just like a case of like things from people's mouths. But yeah, Karen's little speech that she gave was like, it was the very first thing we did. We drove into Saratoga Springs and we drove straight to the museum and like got out of the car and like went into this thing. And it was just great. Karen's little speech had us like tearing up, like we're all gathered around this tiny table, listening. And it was really nice way to see the space for the first time.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. And you could tell, I mean, obviously on Saturday, like we said, there was plenty of time to have conversations at the table and do your autographs and pictures and things, but there was a lot of time for conversation and all of that in the museum, in those experiences. We just so happened to be not very late. We were about 15 minutes late getting back for Annabeth's that started at 6:00. So we were the last people in line and we got to, you know, we got to talk to Jim for a while we were waiting, like as people were kind of clearing out for that one. So yeah, like I said, it was a really nice size of a crowd to see the museum with in those experiences, and also to allow for plenty of time to chat with your favorites.
Yeah. That sounds like a really, really nice time and a nice way to present things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
That's really cool. I'm glad you got to do that. Annie.
I was able to go to the VIP event on Saturday, which I've never been to a VIP event before. And I have to say, after experiencing this, 100% worth it. I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I didn't know. I knew that there would be a panel, and that would be really cool. Actually, there were 2 panels, and there was supposed to be a Zoom with Chris Carter that unfortunately didn't happen. Technical difficulties, because, you know,
Zoom,
it happens.
You just can't.
I know. As podcasters, we've all been there. But you got to see a lot of their personalities come through. You got to see a lot of them like interacting with each other up on like that stage panel area. And that was really cool. Like Annabeth Gish, somehow there was, I don't know if there was a miscommunication or anyway, something happened and she was there super early. Like she wasn't set to go on till I think 7. And she was just sitting there when the thing opened up at 6:00. And we're all sitting, and she's sitting there by herself. And so Bruce Hardwood goes up there with her, and I think Kelly goes up. And like, well, anyway, you got to see them interact, and it was really cute. But Kelly's like, no, you guys don't go on till later. And so they left. But it was great. And I have a lot of that uploaded onto my Twitter for those who want to see the videos. They're not complete. I did the best that I could. I was working fast and trying to get everything uploaded as, you know, the questions were coming. I did my best, but you got to see a lot of great answers, a lot of really thoughtful questions. I didn't go up to ask anything. I feel like I can never think of a good question on the spot, But people asked great questions, and you can tell that some of the actors were so proud of the work and how long it's lasted, how it still resonates with people. Yeah, they were really proud of their work, and it was so nice to see. Some of them got to promote or talk about other things. One of the questions was, what's something besides the X-Files that you're really proud of? And you got to hear all these wonderful things, all this great work that people are doing. And they didn't even necessarily talk about their like acting experience. Like Karen Conifal talked about her work with, is it orangutans?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And that was really nice. And someone talked about a book that they're working on. And Christopher Logan talked about a minor movie that he did, but also just more charity work that he's doing. And you're like, wow, that's so awesome to hear. And you can tell that they're proud. And it was really great. And because the Chris Carter thing didn't happen, they brought in Chris Waddell and I forget the other guy's name. I'm so sorry.
It's Mark Kudra.
Yes, Mark Kudra. They brought them up on stage and they talked about a lot of their work. And these are probably the unsung heroes. These are the guys behind the scenes, getting their hands dirty, sweating, and it's not glamorous work. But you got to hear about what they were working on. I'm sorry, their time on the X-Files. And it was really cool. And again, you could tell how proud they were. And people were asking very specific questions. People knew what they had worked on. So that was really nice to see.
Those two were amazing. We did go out on Saturday. We went to the museum where their table was because they were not on the main, in the main convention area. They were at the museum on Saturday. So we went out there so I wanted them to sign my book. And it was so cool. It was like a little bit overwhelmingly amazing because I just opened, my X-Files book that I have everyone sign. I think I opened it to the season. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. The season 3 page, maybe. I don't know. That had the Jose Chung spread on it for Chris to sign because Chris was actually one of the aliens in Jose Chung. And I was like, you should probably sign this page. And he just immediately from this one picture launched into a very detailed story about the car that they used in Jose Chung, and all of it. He remembered such specific things just from this one random spread in this book. It was very cool to hear them talk. So I'm so glad that you got to hear their panel questions because I think that part sounds really amazing.
It really was. It was. Well, like I said, even at the museum, I didn't approach them. I'm like, what do I say to these people? But I kind of wish I had. It seems like it would be a whole different ball game than approaching, one of the principal cast members.
Yeah, it was, just immediate. This picture from Jose Chung. I remember he remembered exactly where they got the car and exactly what they did to the car and how they detailed the car and all the things. Wow. And I was like, whoa, thank you so much for remembering these things. It was really cool. They were so kind and I think so happy to be there.
What a treasure. Yeah. And just having that experience in the X-Files museum surrounded by all those items had to be really neat too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
And I want to say just one more thing about the VIP event. Chris Owens is the biggest goofball. I had no idea he was so funny. He plays such a serious character on the X-Files. And PMP aside, he's so serious. And he was so funny. And even afterwards, when I asked him for a picture, he was goofing around. And I just wasn't expecting that. It was, again, just such a personal experience that you're able to have at these VIP events that you don't normally. Yes, you get to approach them when you're at the, quote unquote main event, the general event. But there's a long line behind you. You're like, oh, I know their time is precious, so I'm just going to take a quick picture, say thank you so much, I loved you in such and such, and then be on your way. But they were hanging out after the event, which ended pretty late. I forget how late it went, past 10 o'clock, I want to say. And they were a lot of them were hanging out, having a good time, answering questions, taking pictures. It was really special. And like I said, I got a picture with Chris Owens, and he was just joking the entire time. like having such a ball, and it was so nice to see.
It's really exciting to know that they still remember the show fondly and have such good memories, because us as fans, you know, we have our memories surrounding these cons and events, and, you know, watching the show on repeat all the time. And it's good to know that they're genuinely good people who, you know, got to have a fun time making this incredible thing, and we get to share that with them now. So
Yeah.
that's great. Well, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you would like to share?
I would say, I think, you know, we've talked a little bit about like the overall experience, and certainly there were things that went wrong, you know, like this is an event that is it's hard to coordinate events like these. So of course, you know, like Annie mentioned earlier, you know, William B. Davis arrived late, and that changed his like museum experience. You know, there were things that went wrong throughout the course of the weekend, but I think by and large, most of those things were well outside of the museum's control. Like, you know, no one can control canceled flights and like crazy weather and like lost luggage. Like those are things that could happen to anyone anytime. And I think that overall the event was really well put together and thought through to make it that kind of like intimate experience. I think it was the right size for their space, and I think that is a real testament to what they're doing at the museum. I really was impressed by how hard they had worked to put it together that way, and also with how they handled all the things that did go wrong. I think like 90% of the things that happened are well outside of what they could do anything about, and so I think they rolled with the punches and did the thing, and I think for the most part everyone had a really great experience. Everyone that I know that went had a really great experience. So yeah, I think I personally would feel really good about going back to future events. So, and I would recommend them to anybody who's thinking about it.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar, where if you're on the fence about going, not necessarily to the museum, but yes, to the museum, but also to just like any small specific con, not San Diego Comic-Con, not New York Comic-Con, but like to these very specific cons, or even the Star Trek Museum up in Lake George, you will meet people who kind of speak the same language as you. Like when I got together at this con, it's like we all spoke the same language, and they understood in a way that like people in your daily life just might not understand. And we all have our own personal reasons, and it's so great to make that connection and to share in these experiences. And also, if you're on the fence about a VIP, do it, because it's so cool. It's such an amazing thing to experience and to see. And yeah, if you're ever on the fence, you know, maybe just do it, even if just once in your life.
Well, I think that's a really one of my favorite things about the museum is the opportunity to bring fans together, and to have a place that is concrete where fans can gather, you know, even if it is once every few years or once a year or whatever. And even if you just go when there isn't an event. I know Jim and Kelly are so knowledgeable about the show, just to go and talk to them and go around the museum and see those things and hear the stories, and be able to have that experience as an X-Files fan is really special. So I'm glad that you all had the opportunity to go, and I'm glad that it went relatively smoothly, as smoothly as it could, you know, barring the things out of control, like airlines and all that. But, you know, and of course, you know, at a con for such an intimate size, like you said, those things probably stand out a little bit more when they happen. But again, you can't control those things, and I think most people are really gracious about that. So yeah, it sounds like you all had a really enjoyable time, and it's a great place to visit. And I'm glad that everybody had the chance to go. Very fun. So with that being said, Cortlan, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. If you just search for my name, Cortlan, you're going to mostly find hand lettering and calligraphy art when you find me, but I promise there are some X-Filey things interspersed among them, and I would love it if you came.
Absolutely. And you have a Patreon too that people can join.
I do have a Patreon. You will find the Patreon also on my Twitter and Instagram.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
You
indeed.
get some fun mail from that. I always look forward to getting my fun mail from your Patreon because it's nice. It's nice.
I love sending
It's nice
fun
to get
mail.
something that's
Everyone should
It's
send
nice
it.
to get something that's not a bill. Right. Just
Everyone should send fun mail to their friends.
Yeah.
That's just, you should do it. Snail mail is underrated. Everyone send the fun mail. I can help.
Annie, how about you? Where can we find you online? What are you up to?
Yeah, I am on Twitter at Banani_X. That's BANANNIE_X. And on Instagram at Banani_Cake. I don't know why.
It's cute.
I don't know why I chose that name.
It's
I don't know where the cake came from, but whatever.
Sounds good though.
And Instagram one is private, but if I can tell that you're an X-Files fan, I'll usually accept, because I do post more personal stuff there. And you should definitely check out Cortland's stuff because it's really, really good.
Thank you very much.
And like really uplifting, I would say.
I try.
Sometimes you just see art that's dark, and Cortland's is really uplifting, and I like that.
I make things that I need to hear. So chances are if I need to hear it, somebody else does too, right?
Yeah.
That is how it goes for
Always.
me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, great point.
yeah. Where can we find you, Sarah?
I am at Sarah L. Blair on Twitter, and I'm at author Sarah Blair on Instagram. And I have some books out that are kind of X-Files-y. Like, X-Files fans might want to read them. It's called the Tides of Darkness series. And they're fun. And, yeah, good times on that.
Just read
love
it.
'em.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any new TV for a while, so
Right.
this is a great
Catch
time
up
to
on
read
your
some new books.
That's a great point.
Yep.
I laugh, but it's sad.
I know.
But still, read the books.
But it's a great time to catch
Yes,
up on all
it
the
is.
books that
Read
you
the
haven't
books.
read,
Yep,
right?
read the books.
Yeah.
Your to be read pile will thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find the Xcast at the X_cast on Twitter. You can find us at the Xcast Pod on Instagram. And there's a Facebook group, the X-Files. No. The Xcast podcast fan group. The Xcast basement? No. X-Files basement.
Something.
Okay. Hang on. I'll get it. It's the X-Files basement. The Xcast fan cast group? No. Xcast podcast fan group.
It's something like that.
Tony, why did you name it something so hard to say? It's all Tony's
So
fault.
long. It's such a mouthful.
The X-Files basement and Xcast podcast fan group. Boom. So yeah, that's where you can find us. We're all online.
Yes.
Everybody hanging around, talking about the X-Files. So, yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this special episode. We will look forward to our next episode of the Xcast coming soon. And until then, trust no one.
Do you like Star Trek? Do you like podcasts? Then We Are Starfleet might just be the podcast for you.
We are Starfleet.
Featuring interviews with cast members, professors in academia, and New York Times best-selling authors.
We are Starfleet.
Join our crew of Trekkie hosts, Ashley Thomas, Craig McKenzie, Ian Buckley, and Mike Slamer.
We are Starfleet.
Stays focused on the positive, taking into consideration the spirit and ethos of the original classic Trek vision.
Starfleet.
You'll hear us elaborate on these deep references to established canon, making sense of the fantastic, and connecting the threads between all the series of the Trek franchise.
We are Starfleet.
Subscribe today to We Are Starfleet and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at StarfleetPod.
We are Starfleet.
We celebrate the value of IDIC, infinite diversity in infinite combinations, and support DEI initiatives.
We are Starfleet.
We Are Starfleet is a part of the We Made This network of podcasts.
The Xcast and X-Files podcast was created by Tony Black and is produced and hosted by Carl Sweeney, Sarah Blair and Kurt North.
You can find the podcast on Twitter at the X_cast, on Facebook by typing in the Xcast, and in our group, X-Files Basement, the Xcast podcast fan group, and on Instagram at the Xcast pod.
Don't forget, you can support the show by becoming a member on Patreon. Our patrons get early access to episodes, behind-the-scenes chats with our hosts and a thriving community of X-Files, and other premium interviews and specials. To find out more and subscribe, you can go to patreon.com/thexcast. That's patreon.com/thexcast.
We are also part of the We Made This podcast network, full of popular culture shows, including our Millennium series, The Time Is Now. You can find all of our shows at our website, wemadethispod.com, or via Twitter at wemadethispod.
Thanks for listening and keep watching the skies.